Welcome. Now on demand of many of the students, we would be simultaneously starting the NCERT class 9th economics. So economics starts from class 9, so you would have 9th and 10th coverage that we would be taking. Now the first chapter here talks about the story of village Palampur. Now as we know, our classes are more focused on the concept, so we won't be going into the intricacies of what exactly is the story about the village Palam and the details about that village. Rather, we'll focus on the concept that lies in this chapter. So the concept for this chapter is basically the factors of production. Now what are basically the factors of production? So any resource which is used to make either goods or services would be a kind of factor of production. There are four basic factors that we work around, or I could say around which the whole of economics rotate. So you have, we'll start with understanding why and how we can apply the concepts of factors of production and the basic kind of framework to understand why and how economics work. So this chapter talks about a village which is well connected to the nearby towns. It has a kind of mixture of upper class families and SC/STs. So you have kind of both kind of housing that is present. So you have Pakka house as well as Kacha house that is there. The village has good electricity connections, has schools and hospitals which are both private and government. Now understanding the concept of government, private, all these lie under the ambit of economics. So you have primarily the key is to understand the production factors. So what is the basic economy that is sustaining that village? Now in India, most of the village sustained by agriculture as the primary economy. However, there are certain villages which are non-agricultural based. So the idea is to get the goods and services. There are four basic factors of production that we work around. The first is land, labor, physical capital, we also call it as capital, and human capital. Now what is land? I say this is India. So what is there is the key aspect for land is it is a fixed resource. I cannot say I have the land area that is increasing. So whatever land is available is that, and you have to work out the other factors of production on that parcel of land to increase the productivity. So the key aspect for land it is a fixed resource and also that it is scarce commodity. It's not rampantly available. Then you have labor. This labor can be either manual labor or educated labor. Then you have capital. So capital would be the physical capital, the investment and the human capital. When we say human capital, it is the knowledge, the enterprise and the skill that an individual has to work around. When we talk about physical capital, there are two basic concepts. You have the fixed capital and the working capital. Fixed capital is the capital that is there for many years to go. So for example, if I buy tools, machineries, tractors for agriculture, it would be a fixed capital because it would be used year after another. However, the fertilizers that I am buying, the seeds that I am buying, the crops that I am getting would all, the money that is being invested in would all be the working capital. So you have all the raw material that is put in which is used at a given point of time and is no longer available for the next year or the next season would be a working capital. So the basic key aspect here is to work around the working capital when you are talking about overall productivity or net returns. Now as we said land, the key aspect as we discussed is it is a fixed and a scarce commodity. Now in Indian villages you have 75% which is occupied in farming. So there is no scope for expansion. The only thing that you can do is convert the wasteland into commercial lands or the cultivable lands. Now 1 hectare stands for 100 square meters. You also measure land units in bighas and gunitas. Now what is the key aspect? You have the fixed amount of land that is available. What I can do is rather than cropping just a single crop throughout the year, we can go for multiple cropping. So multiple cropping would definitely have a best utilization for this land. So you could have crops that grow in rainy season. So you could have kharif crop, you could have rabi crop in winters, and intermediate crop. So that would be one way of utilizing this land at an optimum level. The next is using good fertilizers, good seeds, rather than focusing on the kind of inputs that you are using. You need to improve the mechanism for the growth. So all those methods that would increase the productivity would be helpful to use this land optimally. Now if we see onto India's scenario, you have small farmers which account to 36% of the area with 80% of the farmers. So 80% of the farmers account for merely 36% of the area. However, only 20% of the farmers have 64% of the land area. That means most of the land parcels in India are fragmented. Since there are such fragmented parcels, the only mechanism is intensive cropping. You cannot bring in huge machinery / tractors on small parcels of land. So again, there is major issue which is scattered plots. So you have small plots, they are being divided generations after generation. So father had two sons, divided the land into two, then again the land got divided into two, and so on. So you have the plot size that is decreasing day by day. So this kind of agriculture can help only subsistence cultivation, which is only for the local family or for a very small or marginal supply. Now the key aspect that we need to understand is we need to sustain the land, and how we can sustain the land is we need to check on the chemical fertilizers that are used. So rather than using chemical fertilizers which can harm the wildlife and the kind of plant life there, we can go for traditional farming. Example of traditional farming would include cow dung as a manure. Then you have use of biogas. Then the highest consumption of chemical fertilizer is recorded in Punjab. Another important concern for land is the depleting or the decreasing water table. So working around the water resources is again a key aspect. Now labor. The rural areas have abundant labor, but the key problem being most of the labor is landless. For cropping season or for agriculture, you require very kind of seasonal labor. So it's a kind of seasonal employment that you can give. There is not a year-round employment that is provided to most of the laborers. It requires really hard work and manual input. However, nowadays you have mechanization that has come into way. So you have tractors for plowing, you have harvesters for harvesting, you have threshers for threshing. However, the main key aspect is the labor which is abundant must be utilized optimally. And what does labor get in turn of its effort that it is putting in? So the labor gets wages, we also call it as salaries in common language. So it gives the labor gets the pay in turn of the amount of effort that it puts in. Now this wage can be in form of cash, that is money. It can be in form of kind, giving some articles which could be useful to the laborer, or it could be merely in form of meals, providing them a daily food. So the key problem in India is the problem with landless farm laborers who do not own a land and they are employed only either on a seasonal basis or a daily basis. Now the next is the physical capital. As we said, physical capital is either fixed or working capital. Now the fixed capital is one-time investment. So a medium or a large farmer can definitely afford that one-time investment because they have savings by sales. However, a small farmer has to borrow. So the small farmer would take loan or borrow from either the money lender or big farmers or the traders, and all these charge very high rate of interest. Now 80% of the total farmers in India work as small farmers and they have to borrow money in one form or the another, and that is done in lieu of a very high rate of interest. Now government is undertaking measures to reduce the rate of interest, and the government itself is opening the Krishi cess, so where you have the less kind of interest rate as compared to the market interest rate. Now once you have the crop that comes up, you sell that crop. So when you are selling the crop, you will either, a small farmer, what he will do, he will repay the loan that he has taken, but a medium and a large farmer would save. Once they save, they would invest it further. So this saving would be invested either again as a working capital in a farm, or as a fixed capital in the farm, or they can invest it in a non-farm activity. They can open small shop or trading center. As a result, what would happen is, ultimately the medium and the large farmers would have higher fixed capital, or they would increase their fixed capital because they own a saving. Now there are non-farm activities that are popular in villages, however it accounts only for 24% of the total activities in the villages. It is mainly either dairy, so you feed the buffaloes with grass, jowar, bajra. Then you have a small scale manufacturing with very simple equipments like Khadi Gramodyog. So you have home based or family based businesses. You need not to hire laborers for those. Then there can be small shops or trading centers, and people can also be involved in transport services. So these were the main physical capital, and finally you have the human capital, which is a kind of skilled capital which requires knowledge and enterprise to work around. So with this we cover the major factors of production in the first chapter for economics. We will be continuing with both economics and geography in the further lectures.